are watching Metropole Television. My name is Simbalaja Charles Kiage. Thank you very much for taking your time to begin your day with us here as we review the biggest economic matters that you're waking up to this morning. Let's begin with exactly where we are in terms of the COVID-19 infections in the country. Now, we're going to look at various issues around that area, and we're going to start with what the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, did yesterday. Just before that, let's look at where we are in terms of new death rate trends and positivity trends in the country. And we have all this data up to 28th of June, 2021, on this, as we start the last day of this month. But if you look at that, then you can actually see that, well, the numbers have been up and down, and that, as you can see, over the past couple of announcements from the Ministry of Health, they've been going back to facility audits. That's when they have been giving us these numbers. If you see on 15th June, they did not really record any death in the country, with the biggest one coming at around 20th to 22nd, where we had around an average of 30 deaths within that period. All right, let's jump and see exactly where we are in terms of the positivity rates in the country. And we have that all the way from 1st June up to where we are right now, and at 28th of June. That's the last data that we have. And we're coming from the backdrop of a positivity rate of 9.5%. That is as of yesterday numbers. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta, we do know, has extended a partial lockdown in Western Kenya for another 60 days. That's exactly where we are. He did that address yesterday evening, and you do know it starts from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. That's the dusk to dawn curfew. And they said that the countrywide containment measures have also been extended for another 60 days, that including gatherings, the vigil and containment measures that we do know are in the country right now. And they said that on the vaccination front, that Kenya has already purchased another 10 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines in a deal that will see the country receive 13 million doses of the single-shot vaccine, whose first consignment will arrive in the country in August this year. Now, he's saying that probably by June 2022, we shall be vaccinating around 30 million as we move towards the herd immunity. But then there's a conversation there. But you see, Kenya has already purchased the Johnson & Johnson. Remember, what we were using at first was the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, there are two talking points that we're going to address around that area this morning. Number one, the delay. Remember, at first they said 4 weeks. Later on, they came and moved it to 8 weeks. Once we got into more delay, they moved it to 16 weeks. Now, we're going to ask medics this morning on exactly the science behind that delay, because reports are also indicating that the more you delay between the first and second jab, then the more your antibodies respond. We're going to ask that question. There's also the next one, that you can now mix the vaccine. So we're going to get proper information on exactly where the science is right now, especially when it comes to the mixing of the vaccines. The also question that we should be asking this morning is the third vaccine, especially if you were on AstraZeneca. That we ask this morning. Good. Now let's cross over to other issues. The date for pay cuts for the civil servants in the country has been set by Treasury. Just before we tell you what it is, let's cross over and see exactly how much we've been spending in terms of the wage bill in the country. And that's where we are 2015. It's just a general trend. You can see that despite the promise that we are trying to bring it down, it has kept on going up all the way to 2019. And you can see 2019 really recorded the biggest one in terms of billions, and the wage payments in the public sector. and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has been really trying to bring this down, but it looks as if they have run into hurdles because that graph speaks otherwise in terms of a commission really trying to bring it or to lower that level. Now, let's see exactly where it is. If you look at exactly where we are now, you will see that that date has been set as of 30 June. So tomorrow, because we do know we are starting a new financial year, civil servants expect allowances like entertainment, responsibility, medical, and utility to be chopped in the move by Treasury to conform to requirements by IMF in its latest disbursement of that loan. Now, let's talk about that, because if you look at exactly what they've been getting, they're aiming to cap the ceiling at a maximum of 40% of a public worker's gross pay. So any allowance you get is going to be capped at 40%. The law currently has nothing like capping, which has seen some civil servants take home up to 259% of their wages. Sometimes the allowances have been more than exactly what they get paid once they are in office. So that date has been set as of 30th of June today. So as we start the new financial year, as from tomorrow, they do not expect those allowances. Let's cross over and see exactly how much we spent also in that recurrent expenditure total. Yes, we've been trying to put it in place, but exactly all the way from 2015 to 2019, 2020, you can see that it has been on a rising trend, but we try to cap it here in a 2020, 2021, and the Treasury is also saying that that is going to reduce further in the financial year 2021, 2022. Good. This morning, let's also talk about Zuma. Oh, that's the ex-president for South Africa, was being jailed for 15 months in prison. Now, Deputy Chief Justice Sisi Kapembe said that he was guilty of contempt of court. And the reason behind that is that he refused repeatedly to appear before a graft panel that was probing corruption charges or allegations during his term in office. Now, Zuma, who's 79 years old, has been accused of enabling the plunder and misuse of state coffers during his near 9-year term stay in office. Now, Keroche has also launched a new beer brand that they're looking to leverage to push them towards the 20% market share in the country. Now, it's called BRX, and it's got an 8% alcohol content, and this is for the upmarket in the country. So if you run into it, then you can actually tell us exactly how it tests. Now, we do know that they have different 30 different brands under Keroche, and this is really thin as a move to leverage on that 20% market brand that they've been trying to push for a long time. Also trying to knock ABL out of that position. That's where we are. In terms of your biggest headlines this morning, you can get us live at Metropole TVKE across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiake Simba. Our 2 hours begin right now. Good morning. This is your Business AM News. President Uhuru Kenyatta has